Okay, well, you heard my little editorial pleading for England to remain England. I read distressing things over here. You know that there is a movement to start in the cabinet a minister of youth. This sounds so Clinton-esque because there are many disenfranchised kids here in England who don't find work, and they want to have a minister of youth. It sounds like something out of Orwell, and I wish you people would not be so American. Am I wrong about that?
But I think they should have a minister for adults. I mean, because kids can't... No, because kids just get on with being kids and they can generally find something to do to amuse themselves. But the trouble... No, they can't they? I mean, but the thing is when adults, like I'm supposed to be one, and yet I'm still trying to act like a kid. And that's the problem, really. I think if we had a minister who could help us to become adults, I would really like it. You know?
But children don't know what they need. I mean, you ask a child what they need the latest, video game. They don't know.
They just need discipline.
But Emma, they do know what they need. They need the latest video game. I think children are so well served by our government now because there's a minister for sport, hurrah, kick things.
There's a minister of sport?
There is.
Oh, yeah.
What there was? Was it this?
I think you're asking the wrong people, I think, about sport, frankly.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. But there's also there's Minister for Employment, should a young person want to get a job. So the only interest left for young people then is getting laid. And you can't quite imagine a kind of government pimp, can you, making an announcement saying, we're pumping millions into slots in the Northwest. You'll get to stick it in a girl if you vote for us.
How long have you had this fantasy, Graham? I think that the bad side of it is the fact that, we have children, maybe, and teenagers and young people who don't know what they're doing, and that's as it should be. Ideally, people between the ages of, say, 13 and 24 should be where they are now without the Minister of Youth. They should be in their bedrooms, locked up, listening to thrash metal, contemplating suicide. It's the only way we have of weeding out the ranks. That's what it's there for. And yes, I said ranks.
Very good. But I have to tell you, in America, when a politician wants to make points, everything he says is about for the children. This is how Bill Clinton got elected, and other politicians emulate him. They say, it's for the children. Whatever the issue is, it's because how it will affect the children. We are a nation that panders to children. England, I think of it as a nation of adults. Like, Vegas used to be for adults. We lost Vegas. England is the last place for adults.
Well, we used to be for adults. Now, unfortunately, due to the American influence, we've become as bloated and fat and stupid as you are. I mean, that's...
Exactly. I know.
When we left your country, we left it in a pretty fine state. We left it was like a beautiful, innocent young girl with a great future ahead of her. When we go back now, she's a fat, bloated crack horse sitting on a couch. And what's worse is she enjoys her work. And, that influence is coming here now.
But it depends if are you protecting children? Are you concerned about children? Are you protecting them? Are you giving them what they really need and what's going to give them a better, adulthood? Or are you just listening to them and pandering to them? It's a different thing.
Yes, they are pandering to them, but also it's a matter of, is it the government's job to protect children? Because when they do it, I think parents feel they don't have to, and that's the problem.
But also, but isn't it the young people's job to hate the government? That's the point of them. They can't get on with the government. They can't go, oh, isn't Uncle Tony fantastic? He's brilliant. Back comb your hair some more, Tony. We love it. They're supposed to hate them.
You're right.
Yeah, well, it's an instant way of... I mean, if they used it in a clever way of, like, if the government endorsed certain things that they really didn't want kids to do, because he's going, oh yeah, come and have a go at this this five-a-side football tournament, and nobody turns up, do they? You know what I mean? So,
right.
So if they thought about it a bit and said, oh yeah, come and have these drugs. So, you want some of these drugs? Here, come on, get them down.
Jarvis, they'd still do the drugs.
No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't.
They'd still do the drugs.
Yeah, the children, but they're not stupid.
But the problem is with our leaders, because we do have a government that's more interested now, rather like the American model, more interested in how well they're doing in the public opinion polls, how well they're doing socially, how well received they are, than interested in governing. It goes back to that stiff upper lip thing. It used to be that they would ignore the cries of their peers and go ahead and do what they knew was right. Now they don't know what's right, which is why we have hundreds of surveys, why we have all this junk.
And it's become so commercial over here. I have to take an ad. We'll be right back. We're talking about England remaining England, hopefully, and resisting American cultural imperialism. I noticed when I was walking around the other night in the West End that the movies at the multiplex, which itself is an American concept, were almost all American movies.
And we thank you for that, because
Yes.
if it wasn't for the 95% of crap movies you bring over here, then the 2 or 3 English films that get made each year wouldn't look anywhere near as good.
No, I so disagree. Where would we be without American films? Obviously, subtitles are just wrong. If you want to read, buy a book. But so that leaves you with Australia, where they just make film after film about coming of age. That's all they do in Australia.
Yeah.
And then here in Britain, all we do, you can either have a film about dead rich people or poor ugly people. And who else will kill aliens? Who else will blow things up? Hurrah for America!
Bring on the poor ugly people.
No.
Let's have the poor ugly people so we can
They're
offer their misfortune.
You wouldn't pay to see them.
I might pay to get away from them in a minute, though. No, you know, it's a good thing we have these. I mean, the Bill mentioned stiff upper lip earlier on, and we've lost that. This is what I despise about what America.
Have you lost that? Yeah.
We've lost that completely, because now we've had your imports. We've had Sally Jessy, and we've had Jerry Springer, God help us, and we have our own, even poor imitations of those shows, and now people are queuing up, and instead of keeping their problems repressed and at home so they can destroy their own family, they're bearing it all. It used to be that the confession was good for the soul. Now it's just good for somebody else's ratings, and it's repugnant.
But Jerry Springer is an import. The people who go on Jerry Springer are low-life white trash.
Yeah, but they had when he came over here, they shoved him in the Oxford Union, didn't they? Like, and all them knobheads are going, Jerry.
We've lost it.
That's a perfect example of what you're talking about.
We're losing the ability to pour scorn on Americans.
Yeah,
it's a great
he's
thing we
speaking
had.
at the Oxford Union, which I suppose is supposed to be people with intelligent people and people who are going to go on and hopefully govern the country and that, and they're all going, Jerry.
Oh, because I think they envy Americans their emotional literacy, that they can get on television and they can talk about all this stuff. English people are kind of going, well, yeah, I was a bit unhappy. Americans, God, they're angry, they're punch together.
It was the Americans in Chicago who said if Jerry Springer is going to have an opinion on wasn't he going to do an opinion on the news nightly and all the anchors quit? That was Americans having an opinion right there, that they disagreed with Jerry Springer's.
We're getting too
nobody. Yes.
Well, too much of this American, you know, that level of insincerity that you see on Jerry Springer, that's not really about genuine problems. That's people inventing problems or going on expanding and exaggerating the problems to get on TV. There's this superficial unreality about all aspects of America. You think they're not really doing that, are they?
That's what makes it all the more sad.
I saw an episode
is that
of
these are real problems that people choose to put on television as opposed to keeping private.
Bill, surely not even the episode about men who love women who love power tools. I mean, please tell me that at least that one was invented.
Some of them are actors, aren't they? Please tell me that they are.
Well, there have been those allegations that Jerry's guests are rigged, but basically these are people. I'm telling you, if it was
But that's
rigged,
the only job they're ever going to get, isn't it? I mean,
if it was rigged,
you're going to see them in anything else.
It would be better. It would not be such a sad state. But the truth is that these are people who make the decision when they have a horrible private secret to take it onto television. Now, I've contended, but I may be wrong because I don't live here, that you couldn't actually film the Jerry Springer show in England because the people would be too reserved and have too much class to come on as his guest. Is that not correct?
I wish.
Well, we're getting that way. We do have, you know, very third-rate imitations where they're slightly more under control than Jerry Springer, but give them give them 6 months or a year, and we'll be just as blatantly false as you managed to.
No, we don't have enough people.
And you could present it.
I can present it.
Okay, this is my last night to implore the British to stay British, but I know some people out there are going to be saying, well, you know, you're trading on stereotypes, but I've always maintained in our show in America that stereotypes become stereotypes because they're usually true.
And I would agree with you.
You would agree with that?
Well, yeah, because another stereotype about English people is that they go on about the weather all the time. It's, you know, but it's true because you live in a small island and the weather changes all the time. And you know, I suppose when cavemen were there, it made a big difference to the life because, like, whether you could go out at cave and go and hunt for some food, or whether you had to stay in and make do with some scraps, and so it's in there deep.
It's hardwired.
That's
right.
a stereotype which I think is true.
The other.
Okay.
I can either agree or disagree because I don't fully understand it. But I think stereotypes, no, they're not true. Stereotypes come about because it's lazy, it's lazy thinking, it's ignorant. Stereotypes were invented, I believe, by stand-up comedians, so it'd be easier to write jokes. The first man who went to Ireland and met somebody who wasn't too bright, and they said, all Irish people are thick, and now it's just a very easy target. Stereotypes exist so comedians can work easy.
But they're all drunk.
Well,
That's true.
It gives you an easy laugh, no disrespect, and it makes it easier for fascism to operate. That's the only two things that have come out of stereotypes.
Really?
Oh, no, I think two things. I think you're right. Comedy does create stereotypes. For instance, like Ginger Spice is old and fat. That's just become a comedy truth, that she is old and fat. And she isn't old or fat, but we just believe that so we can use her as a punchline. And the
you know, I like the idea of her being old and fat.
Do you?
I mean,
I'm an
that gets
actress.
me hot.
I mean, that makes me stupid if I'm an actress. And I was a model before, and that was even worse.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, well, exactly. At least I'm not blonde.
Okay, well, let me try another stereotype. Now, one of the stereotypes about this country is the food stinks. And let me tell you, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a hint. If you want to make toast, don't boil the bread.
But you see, obviously,
no,
American
no.
food being ever so fine and lovely.
Hey, how about a little help over here?
Maybe next time in an American restaurant you can remind them, put some fucking flavour in the food before I'm serving it, and I will trust you appreciate that.
Okay, we're talking about stereotypes about this country and others. One of them about the British is that they're out of shape. Get this, in the press this week there was a scandal because the English National Ballet has no English people in it. They have Chinese, Estonian, Czech, Russian, French, and Australian, but there's nobody who is English in the English ballet, and the director said it's because they're pear-shaped.
Let's be frank. Do any of us really care about ballet? I mean, it was invented. It was invented years ago so that people back in more repressed times could go and see men with enormous cocks wearing tights. And that's at the heart of the matter.
That's where I care.
And you can see women being held up, and you can see their drawers. And I believe the technical term for that is le coup d'argent, the money shot. I mean, that's all the ballet is about, and why do we care?
You do know that we're broadcasting this in America.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was just...
Not anymore, Bill.
No, I was just going to say, we were talking about stereotypes, and yes, I have been to the ballet, and it strikes me... It strikes me, but they're so, you know, they spend all this time training and they're so lithe and light. But if you listen to them, if you shut your eyes and listen to them, it does sound like paratroopers on ice. They're so...
It's the point shoes. They have to be hard so they can stand on their toes. That's
But
what
the shoes are made out of silk. Why do they sound like elephants?
they have glue in them so they don't break their toes when they stand on them. No,
She knows what she's talking about, don't you?
I do know.
If you're going to
But
the
see,
ballet
it's
to sit there with your eyes
irresponsible.
shut, then really it doesn't matter what shape they are, does it?
No, in fairness.
But see,
It is irresponsible to say that ballet dancers are not, you know, thin enough. I mean, my goodness, they really are already very thin, positively anorexic, and I think that's completely...
I think
But
a bigger
based
ballerina
on-
would be nicer to look at.
A great big arse wobbling around in Swan Lake would be right up my street.
Already they've hired these Russian women. I mean, they can't be that lithe, can they?
Yes, but see, in America, this would be a controversy, like here, because we would say, no, you have to have an American there, because we believe in sort of like affirmative action. We believe in evening things out, whereas I would hope that Britain would stand up for that stiff upper lip sort of protocol of saying, you know what, the best people should get the job, whether they're Estonian, Czechoslovakian, Australian, or Russian.
Or stupid enough to want to be a ballerina. They should be kept in cages like veal calves. And just the odd burger and packet of cigarettes thrown in, and just let them out once a week, dance, 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 and then back.
Why did you go to the ballet?
What?
Why did you go to the ballet?
Why did I go to the ballet? Sadly, it's the law. I'm gay, I have to.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
You're gay?
Sorry, Bill, I didn't want to bring it up on American television. Obviously, this is the British segment, it's fine. People in America just look at me thinking, he's so European.
Well, I brought this up on the first night we were taping here about that one of the stereotypes about this country is that it is gayer than most countries.
Well, I would hope so. It's nice to have something to fall back on.
You're a woman who lives here. I didn't really get a straight answer, no pun intended, when I asked the question the other night. Do you think it is, I mean, you've lived in America, you've lived here?
No, I don't think it is. I think maybe people are more comfortable about it here and can be more open about it, and that's obviously a good thing.
I don't think anyone could be more open about it than the residents of San Francisco. I mean, I've been there and I barely got out in one piece.
Because Jonathan has this image that he is just like gay candy.
I mean,
we all want him.
I tell you, man, I walked past, they actually drew. I saw one of them, he had a knife and fork out. It was ready.
And you had a serving suggestion.
I was not unwilling.
But my theory is that this country is more sophisticated, and sophistication...
Sorry.
You spat on me.
To disprove your point, I spat on the lovely Emma Samms. I'm so sorry.
Right. You don't think this country is more sophisticated?
No.
We are obviously much smarter than you. I'm speaking of the country, not you individually. You know,
Well, it's
I mean,
been around for longer, so maybe people have run out of options, so you just go for whatever you can get.
I think we are more sophisticated. I mean, even if you let's make a very simple comparison here. Look at you know, you guys, you have as your kind of totem. You've got Mickey Mouse, a character with an oversized head who waves at people. We've got the Queen's mother. Maybe that wasn't a great. Maybe try and find another one for you. What I'm saying is we've got tradition. We've got tradition.
I didn't know until that moment that the Queen's mother had an oversized head. But I seem to put that together because I'm not as smart as you English people, but I'm not as dumb as I look. All right, this is our last night in England. I want to thank the London studios and Channel